7 minutes, that's what he gave me standing in my father's office with that smug half-smile like he'd already won. "You've got 7 minutes to clear your desk," Dylan said, and before I could breathe, Victoria floated in with a red suit and a folder, and a voice like ice. "The real will," she said, signed 3 days before my dad died. Except he was in a coma 3 days before my dad died. And you know that feeling when the floor drops out, and you keep smiling anyway. Yeah, that happened. Security stepped in men. I'd hired men whose kids went to college on our scholarships. And while I tucked my father's photo and a little jade plant into a box, a janitor crouched by my heel, sweeping glass eyes down, voice soft, careful Ms. Chen, his hand brushed my shoe and slipped me a tiny USB drive like it was nothing at all. "Elevator doors closed," Rodriguez whispered. "Be careful, they've got friends in places you can't imagine." And I thought maybe so, but they have no idea what kind of enemy they just made. B3. 1 hour, he mouthed, and I went. Not because I trusted him yet, but because the drive burned in my palm like a last lifeline. The garage smelled like oil and cold air, and the janitor was taller without the slouch. Black Henley shoulders like he'd been paid to hold up the world. "Andre Cole," he said, former Army intel. "Your father put me through college after mine died. I owed him, I still do, then." He pointed at the drive. 3 months of night shift, cameras, shredders, meetings, after hours. "Your stepmother forged the will, the hospital lied. Your father didn't have a heart attack. He was poisoned with a compound that mimics one my heart pounded like it wanted out. And Victoria and Dylan are about to sell your AI defense system to the highest bidder," he added, "quiet and deadly foreign domestic, whoever pays Sentinel in a pretty box." My phone rang right then, Mira Sloan, the private investigator I'd trusted for 3 years. The woman who sat on my couch and held my grief. "I just heard, baby, where are you?" she said. And I told her I was with a janitor who knew how my father died, the silence said. "Everything. Be careful." "Who you trust," she purred, and Andre took the phone and ended it. "She's Victoria's cousin," he said. "Name change, fake backstory. She's been reporting on you since day one. You know what I mean when I say the bottom dropped out again. Like twice in the same hour." The safe place wasn't a motel. It was a clean 2-bedroom with blackout curtains and 3 deadbolts and a kitchen table cleared for war. Dr. Elaine Reyes, Andre's mother, retired Army surgeon, with eyes that don't flinch, slid tissue slides under a scope. Sigma 9 leaves a microscopic marker in lung tissue. "Almost nobody knows to look," she said. And there it was, proof of murder, absolute and ugly. Then Dr. Sarah Lynn walked in, jeans, calm hands, famous face I knew from hospital fundraisers. "I was your father's partner," she said. And when my eyes flashed, she didn't blink. "Not business partner, Amora. We kept each other's secrets so you could stay safe." She talked about background checks that looked clean because professionals scrubbed them, about a marriage that was part love, part counter-intel, about the night my father called from a hospital bed and said he'd found something that changed everything. And if your chest isn't tight, hearing that, maybe you haven't had to meet your dad for the first time after he's gone. Andre put a different file on the table. A trust my father set up in my name funds Helena didn't know existed, and a map of what came next, the charity gala in 2 weeks, the perfect handoff where philanthropy pays for treason. "We bait them," he said. "We expose them, and we do it without killing, because your father wouldn't want that." I nodded, because somewhere under the rage there was a line I wasn't willing to cross. We trained like our lives depended on it, because they did. Cover stories. Weapons I swore I'd never touch, how to move like someone who belongs in a room designed to keep people out. A test run at the Atelier Gallery. Same security vendor, same donors in tuxedos. And wouldn't you know it, Mira glided in like a green silk blade. "American champagne always tastes a little cheap," she said. I gave her the bored rich girl routine and walked away, but the text hit as soon as we got in the car. Nice accent. "Or should I call you Amora? Tell your janitor his Russian needs work." My blood went cold. Then the phone lit up with Dr. Reyes's number, except it was Victoria on the screen sitting in our safe house with a bruise on Elaine's cheek, and that soft voice that ruins your sleep. "Bring me the drive in an hour." Unarmed alone, or I let my friends practice, people talk tough until someone you love is tied to a chair. Then your choices get very simple. We didn't go dumb. We went with a decoy with a lie big enough to eat her time. First Harbor Bank box number key taped under my father's headstone, and a plan to get Elaine out alive. It almost worked clean. Then the room exploded. Lights died, sprinklers hissed gunfire like fists in the dark. When the backup power kicked in, Victoria was gone. 2 of her men were bleeding on the floor, and Dr. Reyes was on her side, hand pressed to her abdomen. "No hospital," she ordered through clenched teeth. "Call Nightingale." Dr. Lynn arrived herself, unmarked SUV in a back alley, clinical hands that moved like prayer through and through. She said, "She'll live," I cried in the hallway anyway, because strong isn't the same as stone. The next morning, Sarah made a few calls and 3 people no one remembers in a lineup materialized at the clinic. Call signs only said the woman with cropped silver hair. Viper. Then Rook and Marco laid the rest out like a chessboard. Operation Kingfisher, my father's long game to map and neutralize Victoria's brother's network, a web of assets embedded across American tech. "We don't just stop the sale, we flip it," Viper said. "You build a version that passes every test and then burns. And while it burns, it tattles a back door that phones home to people who actually guard the country, not sell it off in pieces." "Killing," I said again, because I meant it. We ruin them in daylight. Gala night. Marble lobby cameras, donors, the Monroe Tower, looking exactly like the legacy they tried to steal. Dylan's face curdled when he saw me. Victoria's smile didn't reach her eyes. "How brave of you to come," she said. "How boring of you to assume I wouldn't." I answered, flashing a drive. I had no intention of handing over. She took us upstairs because she prefers to hurt people surrounded by trophies. "Where is the real one?" she asked, and I said safe because it was. She tapped her earpiece, contained "The intruders do not engage," which told me she had seen through more than I liked. Then she gave the speech people like her always give. Balance of power, peace through parity. Your father was naive. Intentions don't matter, capabilities do. And I won't lie, a piece of it. Sounds like logic if you ignore the bodies behind it. But I had watched her pour poison into a man she claimed to love, so no. She nodded. A guard pressed a gun to Andre's head. "Tell me where it is, or he dies," she said. And time got slow. You ever have to weigh a life against a truth? It's a kind of drowning. I lied well. Bank vault graveyard key under stone. Sent Dylan running. And then the alarm screamed like I asked them to. Sprinklers flooded the ceiling. The guard flinched. Andre exploded into motion, cuffs off. He'd loosened them when they went on. One twist, one throw. Viper swept the second guard. I hit Victoria like I owed her pain. We crashed into the desk glass everywhere. And she hissed, "You've already lost the transfer." Triggered when the alarm did, I told her to check her phone. And when she did, her eyes changed, texts stacking like dominoes. Transfer interrupted. System compromised, execute extraction. Then a different ping, the one that told me Kingfisher landed. Her brother in custody overseas. The auction room contained buyers in zip ties. SEC moving to block the paper shuffle that was supposed to bury my ownership for the first time in months. Exhaled all the way, Victoria looked at me and there was almost tenderness in it. "You think you've saved something," she whispered as they cuffed her. "You've guaranteed the imbalance I was trying to prevent. Power always demands payment, and maybe that's true. The payment just doesn't have to be your soul. 6 months later, I stood at a podium under our own logo again and told the world what Sentinel would become. Not a weapon, a shield. Civic shield for hospitals, power grids, water systems, priced so a small town can protect itself without selling its future. The stock twitched, the internet called me naive and arrogant. In the same paragraph, the Pentagon frowned, and we compromised like adults, defensive modules for them, hard ethical constraints built into the core. Marcus, Andre, runs security down the hall now. Dr. Reyes tells me she's resting, and we both pretend to believe it. Berlin sends postcards from Geneva that say, "Eat something green." Dylan took a plea 5 years with a chance at 3, a pawn finally realizing the board didn't love him. Victoria faces a long sentence on charges you can Google and a few you can't. And when people ask about Mira, I say there's a cafe in a city with better coffee where a woman with new hair types messages about phase 2 and, yeah, I lose sleep some nights. But then I walk our lab floors and listen to engineers argue about ethics, like it's part of their job, because it is now. And I see a first-gen kid open a scholarship envelope and cry into a cafeteria hamburger. And I remember my father telling me responsibility is the price of getting to keep the thing you love. So tell me, do you think Helena had a point about balance? Or was that just a neat suit she put on greed? Do ends ever justify means when the means are poison and lies? Have you watched a company sell kindness on stage and do violence backstage? Drop your take in the comments, argue hard but fair. And if this hit a nerve, share it with one person who needs reminding that being pushed out isn't the same as being finished. I wasn't finished, not even close.